What if I told you a man lost 12 years of his life for a crime he never committed? No evidence, no motive, just lies, and a system that refused to listen. This is the story of Marcus Reed, a black man wrongfully imprisoned, stripped of his freedom, and forced to fight back from inside a cage. But when the truth finally surfaced, it didn't just shake his case, it shook the entire system. Stay with me, because what happened next will leave you speechless. Marcus Reed was just 23 when his nightmare began. He was the kind of man everyone in his neighborhood knew, soft-spoken, hard-working, with dreams bigger than the small apartment he grew up in. He had a smile that carried hope, a mother who prayed for him daily, and a little sister who thought he hung the moon. Marcus dreamed of opening his own mechanic shop. He saved every dollar, worked extra shifts, and kept his head down. He wasn't perfect, but he was good, and for Marcus, that was enough. Until one night, the system decided it wasn't. It was late, and Marcus had just locked up from his shift when police lights flooded the street. Before he could even ask why, officers slammed him against the hood of his car. They accused him of armed robbery, an armed robbery that happened miles away at the exact same time Marcus was at work, covered in grease and sweat from fixing engines. He thought it would be cleared up quickly. After all, he had time cards. He had coworkers who saw him all night. He had proof. But none of that mattered. The victim of the robbery, a nervous store clerk, hesitated, looked around the courtroom, and then pointed directly at Marcus. That single finger sealed his fate. Despite shaky evidence, despite inconsistencies, Marcus was sentenced to 25 years in prison. 25 years for something he didn't do. The courtroom clapped shut like a coffin. His mother collapsed in tears. His sister begged the judge to listen, but the gavel had already fallen. Inside prison, Marcus quickly learned that hope was dangerous. Letters to appeal were ignored. Lawyers dismissed him as another case lost in the system. He watched birthdays pass, funerals happen without him, and his mother's health decline, all from behind bars. Every night he stared at the ceiling of his cell, whispering the same words, "I didn't do this. One day the truth will come out." But years passed, and still, nothing changed. Most men in Marcus's position broke down, but Marcus refused to surrender. He began studying the law from the prison library, page by page, case by case. He scribbled notes in the margins of old textbooks, teaching himself legal arguments that even trained lawyers struggled with. Other inmates mocked him at first, until they realized Marcus was actually winning small cases for them, helping them reduce sentences or file appeals. He became known as the jailhouse lawyer. But Marcus wasn't just doing it for them. He was building a case for himself. And then, a breakthrough. After 12 long years, he discovered something buried deep in his trial records. A police report that had been conveniently hidden from the jury. A report that described the suspect as 2 inches taller than Marcus and with a noticeable scar Marcus never had. It was proof the system ignored. Fueled by that discovery, Marcus filed a new motion. He wrote it by hand, 37 pages long, carefully citing law after law. He mailed it to the court, knowing this might be his last shot. Months passed, and then, one morning, a guard walked to his cell with a thin, white envelope. Marcus tore it open, his hands shaking. The motion had been accepted. For the first time in over a decade, Marcus was going back to court. But just when it seemed like justice was finally within reach, something darker surfaced. The same detective who had built the case against Marcus, the one who testified so confidently all those years ago, was suddenly under investigation for corruption. Whispers spread that Marcus wasn't his only victim. Dozens of cases, men just like Marcus, might have been tainted by the same lies, the same shortcuts, the same betrayal of justice. Which meant freeing Marcus wasn't just about his life anymore, it was about exposing an entire system of corruption. And as Marcus prepared to walk back into the courtroom, he realized one chilling truth. Winning his freedom might make him a target.
The gavel struck, and the courtroom held its breath. 12 years of stolen freedom hung on a single decision. Marcus Reed was about to find out if the truth would finally set him free, or if the system would bury him once again. Marcus stood tall, shackled at the wrists, but unbroken in spirit. He scanned the room, the frail body of his mother clutching her Bible, the tear-stained face of his sister, and rows of strangers who had come to witness whether justice still existed in America. For 12 years, Marcus was just another inmate number, but today he was a man fighting for his name, his dignity, and his future. The court clerk read aloud the evidence Marcus had uncovered. A hidden police report describing the real suspect, 2 inches taller, with a scar across his cheek, a scar Marcus never had. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Then came the revelation that shook everything. The detective who built Marcus's case was now under investigation for corruption. He wasn't just accused of misconduct. He was suspected of framing innocent men to boost his conviction rate. Marcus wasn't the only one. He was just one of many. But the state wasn't ready to let go of their convictions so easily. The prosecutor rose, his voice sharp and dismissive. "Your Honor, this is nothing more than desperation. The evidence against Mr. Reed was clear. The eyewitness identified him. His conviction was lawful. We cannot unravel 12 years of settled justice just because the defense wants to smear a decorated detective." The words cut deep, but Marcus didn't flinch. He had lived with lies for too long to fear them now. Angela Simmons, the civil rights attorney who had taken interest in Marcus's case, stepped forward. Her voice carried power. 12 years of this man's life were stolen because evidence was hidden from him. That is not a mistake. It is corruption. That detective's record isn't a coincidence. It's a pattern. And, Your Honor, the very foundation of justice is at stake here. If Marcus Reed remains imprisoned despite this truth, then none of us can claim this system is fair. The gallery stirred. The judge leaned forward. For the first time, the truth felt heavier than the lies. The final witness was called, the store clerk who had once pointed at Marcus. The man's hands shook as he spoke. "They pressured me. The police showed me his picture and said, 'He looks close enough.' I wasn't sure, but I was scared. I thought I was doing the right thing." His words shattered the silence. The very testimony that had condemned Marcus was now collapsing under its own weight. Marcus closed his eyes. He didn't cry, didn't smile. He simply exhaled, like a man breathing fresh air after being underwater for too long. But just when it seemed like freedom was certain, the prosecutor played his final card, a sealed affidavit from a prison informant claiming Marcus had confessed behind bars. The room tensed. Another lie, another trap. Marcus stood, asking permission to speak. The judge nodded. His voice was steady. "Your Honor, I've been locked in a cage for 12 years because of lies. If I was going to confess, it would have been to my mother, to my sister, not to some man looking for a deal. I will not spend another day punished for stories made up to protect corruption." The words echoed. Even the prosecutor struggled to respond. The judge's gavel struck once. The courtroom froze. She spoke slowly, her voice carrying weight. "This court finds that Mr. Reed's conviction was tainted by withheld evidence and unreliable testimony. Therefore, his conviction is vacated. Effective immediately, Marcus Reed is free." The shackles fell from his wrists. His mother sobbed uncontrollably. His sister leapt into his arms. The gallery erupted in applause and tears. After 12 years, Marcus Reed walked out of that courtroom, not as a prisoner, but as a free man. But freedom didn't erase the scars. Marcus had lost a decade of his life. He had missed funerals, birthdays, and the chance to build the business he once dreamed of. But as reporters swarmed him on the courthouse steps, Marcus said only this: "I can't get back the years they stole from me, but I can fight to make sure no one else loses theirs. This isn't just my victory, it's a warning. The truth will always come out." And with that, Marcus turned his pain into purpose. The system had tried to silence him. Instead, it had created a fighter who would spend the rest of his life demanding justice for others. Marcus's story proves one thing: freedom isn't given, it's fought for. How many more lives are still buried under lies? How many more Marcus Reeds are waiting for someone to uncover the truth? If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, subscribe, share, and keep watching, because the fight for justice is far from over.